Suganti, can you please go on mute? Okay, fine. So just right click and then customize the ribbon, and you just need to make sure that developer option is enabled for you. And that's it. You just need to click on OK and developer tab will be enabled for you. If it is still not enabled, just close the Excel sheet and open it again. Now, once developer option is enabled for you, now we will record the macro. In developer, you can see there is an option of record macro and macros. When you click on macros, this will show you all the macros which are currently available in your file. You must be seeing it empty because you might not have created any macro till now. These are the macros that are already available in my system. Okay. Now I want to create a new macro. So what I'll do, I'll just click on record macro. Just click on it, record macro, and here you have to provide a macro name. So make sure that you're providing some logical name. Let's say here I am writing format applicant data. Okay, this is the macro name that I have provided. Shortcut key, something which you are going to use in your other worksheets or workbooks to format this particular data using the macro. So let's say I am writing control J, for example. Okay, this shortcut I can use to just execute the macro, you can say. Store macro in. Now, if you see, if you click this drop down, we have a three options to store the macro. Personal macro workbook, new workbook, and this workbook. If I talk about this workbook, if you save the macro in this workbook, what will happen? This workbook will have the accessibility of the macro only. You cannot run that macro in other workbooks. If I talk about new workbook, then whatever macro you're going to create, that will be available in your new workbook, and it will not be available in the current workbook, and it will not be available for any other workbooks. That macro will be available only in the new workbook, which will get created through this macro. What is the last thing? Personal macro workbook. If you save your macro in this workbook, this is actually a hidden workbook which will store your macros, and these macros will be available for all the workbooks. Wherever you want to execute this particular macro, this will be available for all the workbooks. So very simple. Macro will be available only in this workbook and not for all other workbooks. Macro will be available in the new workbook and not for the current workbook or any other workbook. Personal macro, if you store it here, macro will be available for all the workbooks that are in your system. You can run the macro on any workbook. Right now, I'll just select this workbook, and just if you want to give some description that what you are doing through this macro, you can do that and just click on OK. Now your recording has started. Okay, let's say I'm doing basic formatting on this data. So what I'll do, first I'll just insert some header. So I'll just go to insert, I'll just go to home, let's say, and I'll just insert a row, and here I will do the formatting. So this will be my first name, let's say. Here the second header will be my second name, or let's say I'm writing it as last name, and the third column would be having the age. I'll just properly organize them. Let's say I am doing some basic formatting, that I'll just color it maybe this. And now I will separate this data. How do we separate the data? You just need to select the data, and now you have to separate this data based on text to columns, using text to columns feature. So you just need to select the data, and then we'll go to data tab, and here we have text to columns. Just click on text to columns. Now, this particular data is a delimited data. So you need to click on delimited. You need to go to next. What is the delimiter here? Can anyone tell me? What is the
Space.
delimiter? Space.
Space.
Correct.